Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to We Know Orlando Live. I know we're missing Alan Maycumber today, but you know what? In his place, I have two amazing pros. I've got Doug Long, the divisional president of the Southeast Division of Amerifirst, which is an amazing lending company. Patrick Mars. Patrick Mars on my left is the area manager who is my pro that I'm going to just delve into the world of lending to answer some questions for you. So, my name is Tia. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to give it to Patrick. We are going to speak about, we're going to pick Doug's mind, pick Doug's brain, because he is all about the idea of real estate being I.D.E.A.L, ideal.
Thank you, Tia. All right, we have Doug here today, and it's a privilege to have him because he's a very intelligent mortgage professional, and his ideas are better than anybody else's I've ever dealt with. So today, I want to get Doug to talk about his version of I.D.E.A.L. So, Doug, why do you think buyers in today's market, why is it ideal for them to purchase today?
Well, the first thing you want to look at right now is the fact that interest rates are starting to go up. And so if interest rates are going up, that means the ability of what you can afford starts going down. And so what we want to do is, if you've been thinking about waiting, absolutely is not the time to wait. It is the time to actually get into the game and get it going. Because the Federal Reserve has already stated very simply, we're going to continue raising rates because the economy's great. And as the economy starts going up, that means that interest rates could be up another half a point in cost. So don't wait. And the reason I said that is because the average person who actually owns a home at the time of retirement, who's bought a home, has a net worth that's like $80,000 more than somebody who rented. And so it's a substantial investment, and I always looked at it as why is a substantial investment. So we always use the acronym, if you write on a piece of paper, I.D.E.A.L. Why is real estate an ideal investment? And so I&D is pretty simple. That I&D stands for interest deductible. The payment that you're paying is mostly interest at the beginning of your home ownership. For the first 7 to 10 years, if you ever look at a amortization table, it is set up to benefit the borrower, and our tax laws to benefit the borrower to be able to deduct the interest. It's one of the few deductions left. And so if you are buying a $400,000 home and you put 5% down, that means that you have put $20,000 down. You've got a $380,000 mortgage. That payment based on $380,000 is going to be mainly interest, and that is all deductible. So depending on your tax bracket where you're at, and I'm not an accountant, so get with your accountant, but let's assume that at the end of the day you have $25,000 of interest that you paid in a year, and you're in a 30% tax bracket. That means that you have a $7,500 tax deduction. Okay, so that is something that when you look at the real cost of overall ownership, that deduction allows you to get money back over time that it's kind of a forced savings account, is the way I look at it. And so you get a bigger refund at the end of the year. The E part is, even though the payment does have mainly interest, there is a portion that goes towards equity. So you build equity up on every payment that you are
I love that.
And so other than, by the way, 2008 through 2011, pretty much real estate does what we call appreciate. And so if you looked at the appreciation levels in Central Florida for the last 3 years, they've been running around 8 to 9%. But even let's assume it's normal appreciation of 3 to 5% annualized, then that asset is going up. So not only is your payment, which is probably less than what it's going to cost you to rent, deductible, so you're getting a tax deduction on the ID part of I.D.E.A.L. The E, you're building equity. A, that asset is appreciating in value. And then L, you're thinking, what is the L?
What is L?
Well, L is pretty simple. It's called leverage. Oh. So let's think about this. If you had $400,000, that's where us guys come in, the Amerifirst guys. So if you had $400,000 sales price and you were going to buy that property for $400,000 in cash, and the A part of the I.D.E.A.L appreciation happened over 5 years, and it's now worth $450,000 when you sold it, guess what? you made $50,000 on a $400,000 investment. That's a great investment return. But the magic of leverage is, what if you only put $20,000 down? In 5 years from now, you get that $50,000 profit. The leverage, the return on a $20,000 investment to get 50 is a lot better. And I,
Really?
fortunately, we're here live, so I can't get my calculator out and
you're
figure out that what it is.
analytical.
But trust me, it's about a 4x difference in return. So from my perspective, that's why it's the ideal investment. It's you end up with a lot more net worth as an individual. You're able to use the tax code. You're able to see an asset that continues to appreciate, and you can utilize leverage through mortgage products to become, get a better return on your money.
Now,
That's the-
let me ask you this. The first thing that comes to mind is, did you come up with that, or did you learn that somewhere?
Well, I've been in the mortgage business for 30 plus years.
So you
And
came up with that.
I came up with that through my dad.
You need to write a book.
Yeah.
So
well,
write
my-
a book that would be the
my
name.
My dad was a real estate agent.
I will
but
get on that
sometimes
with
you
you.
just got to get back to the basics of why.
Yeah, the big why.
Why do I want to buy, and why is it smart financially to do so? And everything is aligned for the borrower to succeed in owning this asset and making sure that it's something that they can increase their net worth over time.
Now, you touched on something that I know as a fact. I've been in marketing, financing my whole life. So, from both your perspectives, from a person who's renting and a person who's owning, at the end of their lifetimes, what is the average, I guess, what
Net worth.
net worth of difference?
There was a study done, and this was done a few years back, and I'd have to probably get it updated, but it's around $80,000 difference.
That's incredible.
That's a big difference for the average consumer to have an $80,000 better net worth.
And the difference, if you have children, you subtract $1 million for each child,
Yeah,
right?
there you go.
All right.
Well,
That helps.
then the other thing you can look at is, let's assume it's 30 years from now, and you're still in that house, and it's free and clear. What's your rent then?
Oh,
It's
that's
zero.
right. It's zero.
And so, at the end of the day, you have an asset that, as part of your determination of your retirement plan one day, you want to have a free and clear home, that's so you don't have a payment on it.
So I have another lender. She's into finances and all that stuff. She taught me a step system where you purchase a small home as an 18-year-old. Okay, you can either rent it out and have someone else pay your mortgage, or you can sell that home, take everything from that home and move it to a step bigger, keeping the mortgage as low as the first one. And if you did that over a period of your lifetime, going up to like $1 million house, your mortgage would still remain the same as the first?
Yeah, that's definitely a strategy and a plan, and that one would work out as well. The whole point is get started. Don't stay on the sideline, because otherwise you don't have any choices. If all of a sudden interest rates go up to, let's say, 8-9%, which when I started in this business, I hate to tell you this, but I was at 17.5% interest rates.
So that was 20 years ago.
Yeah, it was a little longer.
It's more than that.
It was in the
I was
early
kidding.
80s, let's put it that way. And so what I would tell you is that we even had homes being bought and sold then at 17.5%, but it just wasn't a lot. So end of the day, there are always different financial cycles and things that happen in life, but get started, get an asset, and get going in the program.
I know you're short on time, Doug. I am so grateful I have you for the 5-10 minutes I do. What do you see as a difference in the market from when you started and this market that everyone's terrified about? I mean, I'm not quite sure what they're terrified about, but what do you see as a difference? You've been to both.
The difference is that people listen to anybody that will has a view, and that's why they're terrified.
Yeah.
Just cloud your mind with the facts, and the facts are that you have an incredible financial system that allows you to borrow money. And think how powerful this is. This is no other place in the world except for U.S. 30-year fixed rates, never ballooning, never changing. You can actually lock yourself in to that program and only put 3, 4, 5% down. The fact that that is available to people, everybody should be running. I'd be terrified by not doing it.
Yes, be more scared of not doing it.
Exactly. That's right. So it is definitely the time. Don't let fear get in the way. And I think Tony Robbins talks about fear.
I love Tony Robbins.
False evidence appearing real. Don't listen to people that are doomsdayers, because at the end of the day, it's easy to have followers when you talk doomsday stuff. Okay, because it's going to happen. Ooh. No, it's not. It's there's always life that happens, but if you understand the basics of what you have as an American to be able to buy a home like this, it's the most incredible right that you have. So other than the right to vote, this is one of the best things you can do. So
that is amazing.
Right.
I have to tell you, Doug, I want to thank you so much. I know you only gave me 5 minutes.
Well,
I took
you.
more than 5 minutes. I want to get you back on air with us again so I can pick your brain, because I just came up with so many ideas talking about, the history of Amerifirst and all this great stuff. So let's do this. Let's promote your business. And thank you so much for coming. All right, thanks,
take
Doug.
care.
You can
All right,
stay right
Patrick.
there. We're going to go ahead
See
and
you.
just complete our session here. We are going to continue with my wonderful pro, Patrick Mars. And let me just make sure that I have everything set. Okay, so Patrick, we have a few questions for you.
Yep.
Hi, I'm Tia. I know I'm never on air. So we have the top 8 things that buyers or sellers are asking you about. So we'll start off with your first number 1. People ask you more often than not, I heard pulling my credit will decrease my credit score. Do I have that happening every time I pull my credit score?
Okay, so first I want to kind of go back to what Doug just did. And,
Okay.
and what he did was talk about getting into the market, right? So maybe his conversation shifted a little bit, some of these questions. I think that pull, do I have to have my credit pulled, is a question I get probably almost on every buyer. So it is very important, because it is a necessity. And knowing your credit, like Credit Karma, freecreditreport.com, those companies have done a great job reaching their audience to let people know, to make sure you know and understand your credit. Unfortunately, the scores they provide, which everyone is coming to say, hey, my Credit Karma says I am, those aren't scores that the mortgage company or mortgage industry uses. We have a different algorithm for our credit pulls, so the scores will be different. It's very important for a mortgage company to pull your credit, because they need to see, for example, myself, when I pull credit, I'm looking at your score as well as the credit content and trying to figure out if there's anything I can do to make your credit situation better, so your loan goes through easier, smoother, and faster, which is the ultimate goal. So is it a necessity? Yes. Does it impact your credit score? Yes, very minutely. A couple points every time it's pulled. If I pull it, it'll be different. It'll go down a couple of points. What I'll tell all my buyers at that point is, just pay all your bills for the next 30 days and you'll see a recovery to your score. But again, I want to bring this back to Doug's situation of let's get into buying a home. What do I need to do to get into a home to take advantage of this ideal that Doug just laid out for you? So if you're watching this and you're a renter and you're contemplating, hey, should I buy a home? Now it should be like, what do I need to do to get into a home? That should be what's
step 1.
Yep,
right.
Step 1. What do we need to do to get into a home? Ideally, you're going to want to talk to a more professional like myself right away.
Patrick, how can they contact you if they need to ask these questions?
So I'm available anytime. My cell phone is always on and available. I can give you that number.
Go ahead.
407-616-8979. You can call anytime, just reference this video. We're going to go into a few more questions that are commonly asked as first-time home buyers. I think one that we should address right now is potentially, how much money do I need to buy a house?
Yes, that's number 2.
Number 2,
How much money do I need to
buy a home.
buy a home?
So there are programs out there that allow you to get into a home with 0 down payment. Doug mentioned leveraging, with a certain amount of down payment. We can go as low as 3% on most products. There are some specialized ones that allow for 100% financing. So the investment on $200,000 purchase, 3% down is $7,000. So $7,000 gets you into the down payment requirement of a home. So there are a lot of options to get you into a home at this point.
Let me ask you this. Taking question number 1 with the credit score and question number 2 with, figuring out what to do to get that home, what does your credit score need to be at to
perfect.
get into a home?
So we can do credit scores all the way down to 500. Now, down at 500, that's going to be a larger down payment requirement, 10%. Now, once you get above 580, then the requirement can be 3.5%, and you can start getting into the 0% down payment programs as well. More than likely, you're going to need to be a little higher on that for the 0%, but 580 gets you into the 3.5% down payment.
All right. So question number 3 would be, how do I know how much home I can afford?
Okay, perfect. So the home that you can afford is going to be based on your credit report and the credit and debts that are on your credit report, as well as your income. It's called a debt ratio. So it's debts divided by income, and then on your credit report debts, like your car payment, your credit card payments, student loan payments, any outstanding debt doesn't factor in utilities or insurances typically.
Doctor bills?
No, those are not factored in as well. You take those and you take your proposed mortgage payment, which again, you would have to contact me. I can run a payment for you, and then you divide that by your income. So a general rule of thumb though is, if you're watching this and you're like, oh, that's a lot of work, take your verifiable income, multiply it by 4, and that gives you a basic idea of where you need to be. You make a $40,000 a year verifiable, by 4, that's a $160,000 purchase. That's just, so you have an idea where you're at.
Now, I understand that we're all pros in this, so I kind of understand what he's talking about when he's using verifiable difference and all this stuff. If you have any questions, please call him, because he's very good at making it easy for us commoners to understand the financials. And number 4 is, are there any additional fees other than the down payment?
So there are closing costs that are required. That's for what that is for the transfer of the property from the seller to the buyer. There's going to be costs involved. So depending on the price of the home, the costs will be different. So as a general rule of thumb, anticipate your closing costs somewhere in the range of $5,000 typically. On top of that, also, you have what is called an escrow account set up. Those are for your taxes and in your insurance. They are included in your mortgage payment. However, we will set up an account so that they're collected every single month and paid for you, so you don't have to worry about that payment on an annual basis. That can be a large sum. Those also are included in your down payment, or with your down payment, closing costs, and prepaids. Now, the good thing is the seller is able to contribute to your closing costs and prepaid. So as you're writing your contract, I would converse with your realtor and let them know that, hey, we need to get your closing costs covered by the seller, and we can make that happen that way.
And if you need a realtor, we know Orlando. The Maycomer team, fantastic realtors.
Perfect team.
And question number 5, what financial documents do I need in order to get approved for a loan?
Okay, so each person is going to have a different requirement, but the general rule of thumb is you will need 2 pay stubs, 2 W-2s, 2 years tax returns, 2 months bank statements, copy of your driver's license, and then each case will be different from there depending on your scenario. But those are the basic items that are going to be needed. So if you want to call and get a pretty good idea of what you're approved for, make sure you have 2 pay stubs available, 2 W-2s. Those are going to be the real big ones that most lenders like myself are going to want to see, or at least get information off of.
Number 6 goes to that question. Why do I need to supply those documents?
See, it's perfect. All right. Now, one thing I want to stress is a person in my position, and a loan officer, the person that's going to be talking to you and helping you set up the loan, is not the person that approves it. That's the underwriter. The underwriter is going to have rules and guidelines that they have to adhere to, and that's why these documents are required, because we have to get an approval from an underwriter, who then has to get an approval from, depending on the entity we're getting the loan from, such as Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, that nature. So we are required to get these documents just to make sure that you are going to be approved for the loan.
All right, that's number 7. Who orders the appraisal, and what is the difference? How is that different from my inspection?
Okay, so I get this question all the time as well. I already had a home inspection, so why do I need an appraisal? Well, the home inspection is designed to look at the home and see if there's any defects to the property. Basically, that is it. The appraisal is going to they're going to do less of an inspection on property condition. So much more they want value. They're trying to determine value. Now, they're not going to go in depth like an inspector will to try to find something wrong with the home. If they see, an appraiser sees it, they'll notice it and they'll note it on their value and their appraisal. But it's the difference between the two. One is going to be much more thorough than the other. The one is also designed to give you an idea of what the value of your home is.
All right. And number 8 for you, for the most common questions asked by your clients is, what is included in my monthly payment?
Okay. So that question I get a lot, because a lot of people are going to go online and try to do gain their knowledge in this mortgage industry, like where the properties that are for sale, the houses are for sale, the values for the properties, and they also find mortgage calculators online that will give them a value of or payment on that home. A lot of times it doesn't include everything that's included, which is your property taxes, your homeowner's insurance, and if you don't have 20% down payment, there's going to be another fee called a mortgage insurance fee. So that mortgage insurance, so those 3 items on top of your mortgage payment are included in your monthly overall payment. So we have mortgage calculators that I can give out to you. It's an app online. All you have to do is contact me and I'll forward it to you. That way you can figure out, if you're looking for a home, what your true overall monthly mortgage payment will be.
So if they wanted to contact you by email to get that mortgage calculator, why don't you give them that information?
Okay, the email is pmars, so that's P-M-A-R-S, at Amerifirst.com. So you can email me anytime as well. So you have my phone number now and my email, and I'm available anytime.
And I'll put all his information, his contact information, in the comments below, so that you will always have that, along with the questions that we had today. I don't want to go in further because I had such a great time interviewing you and Doug. I know I will be back.
Right.
We're starting some webinars, so I would love to have you guys, because I know that Doug can talk and you can talk.
Doug is a great resource.
Yeah, Doug is a great resource. So we will get them back on our Facebook Live. As always, like, share, and comment below, because the more you like, the more of these I can do for you. So we want to keep you in the know. I want to thank you, Patrick, for having me. What a great guy you are. What a blessing. Your family is beautiful. You can contact me at tia@maycumber.com or tia@weknoworlando.com. The office number 407-215-1314. Or, just send me a comment below and I'll get your questions up for our next Facebook Live. Thank you for joining us, and see you next week, Tuesday and Friday, for our next Ask a Pro with We Know Orlando. Bye.